Continuing our discussion of functional groups. I want the functional groups for these molecules. This last one is called amoxicillin. It's called a beta-LACTAM antibiotic. You will be learning extensively about those in both Orgo 2 and any pharmacy class you ever take. And it does not want to write down there for some reason today. Okay. Ibuprofen, common pain reliever. Do you see any functional groups in that? Because that's what we're supposed to do today. Functional groups. And right there, what's the functional group that has a short form? CO2H. Carboxylic acid. Boy, that's not how you spell carboxylic acid. There you go. Now, the reason I'm going here next is because this thing is CO2 the other direction, but that's not an H right there, it's a C. See that C up there? See the CO2 followed by a C instead of CO2 followed by an H? That makes this a carboxylic ester. But we know when it's a carboxylic ester, you don't have to write carboxylic ester. What can you write as a short version? Just ester. Same story here. Up top is a carboxylic ester. It's drawn out with its carbonyl showing. I'm going to remind you this molecule here is called maybe you can remind me. Starts with a P, ends with a one word, two words, second word ends with a D. Guys, do I need to show you the condensed version of the formula for you to tell me? H3PO4, that's what it is. Why did you need that and not that? Because we're not good at going from looking at a picture to condensing it in our mind and realizing that we've done that. You have done that. That's phosphoric acid. It's just drawn out. This is the more important way to look at it, isn't it? So, phosphoric acid. Phosphoric acid. As opposed to, I should do it in green as well. What kind of acid is this? I'm putting R here. R is like a variable. It doesn't matter what R is. That functional group is what? Carboxylic acid. What do you have to do to a carboxylic acid that's drawn like this to make it into a carboxylic ester that's drawn like this? Get rid of what? Replace it with what? Get rid of this H that made it an acid and replace it with a carbon. And then you get what functional group that used to be a carboxylic acid? Carboxylic ester. Tell me what this functional group is right here, right now, based on that knowledge that you just learned. Somebody was saying it back there. Correct. Phosphoric ester. Ester. Oh, boy. And the erasers. And the paint. Oh, not the paint can. I'm glad it missed the paint can. That's the worst thing. I'd like to point out carboxylic esters could also be called carboxylate esters. Different people like saying different things, and we got to live with these people, you know? So work with these people. That's better word. So carboxylic esters or carboxylate ester. Ester or ester. You can't do the short form all the way to ester for this one. So phosphoric ester, your biology teacher would probably say, don't you mean phosphate ester? They will, trust me. Because trust me, they forgot 20 years ago that they came from the acid. Okay? They came from the acid. So this, you know, phosphoric was the acid. It's also phosphate ester. Esters. Now you can also say the same thing right there, correct? There's two esters. It's a phosphodiester. Some of you have heard that. There's just two esters to the same phosphorus. It goes OC in two different directions. And what about this guy down here? Here's your two choices, amine or amide when you have nitrogen. Is the nitrogen attached to a carbonyl is the question now. No. When it's not attached to the carbonyl, it's the amine. And I need a number and a degree sign. Primary amine. Since we're on amines, what kind of amine is this one? Down there, bottom left. Tertiary amine. What kind of amine is this one? That is not attached to a carbonyl. I know there's a carbonyl real close, but it has to be attached to a carbonyl to be an amide. So it's not an amide, it is the amine. Is it primary, secondary, or tertiary? Primary. Any other amines on the page? No, all the other nitrogens are attached to a carbonyl. Is that right? So since we're on the topic, what functional group when the nitrogen's attached to a carbonyl? Amide. How many bonds to carbon does that nitrogen have? 3, tertiary. What do you call CO2H? It's already been done. Oh, no, it hasn't. Oh, yes, ibuprofen has one. Carboxylic acid. This one I'm going to do in black because you're not responsible for any sulfur functional groups yet. But if that was oxygen, would you not call it an ether? Why am I even bringing up oxygen? My eyes are going towards this document on the wall. What is this document? Periodic table. Where is sulfur on this document? Under oxygen. They share similar chemistry. They share similar naming of functional groups too. It's an ether, but sulfur took the place of oxygen. This is a very common thing in biology and organic chemistry. It's called a thioether. You are not responsible for it. I'll put, that's, what do you call it? Looking ahead, preview. Chapter 11, yes. You have to know that if it's an acid that had an H replaced by a C, it is a type of ester. And you should know phosphoric esters, nitric esters, and sulfuric esters. You guys know phosphoric acid, nitric acid, sulfuric acid, right? If it ends with ic acid, it can be made into an ester. So just brush up on the few ic acids you already know about. Because they can be made into esters, every one of them. Take the H off, put a C there instead. Okay, and thioether. Oh, there's another nitrogen that's attached to a carbonyl. What do you call those? Amide, and that one has how many bonds to carbon? 2. Yeah, it's a primary, I don't know. Why? I'm giving up. What about this over here? Is that O attached to a carbonyl? If it is, it's called a carboxylic acid, but it's not, so it's called an alcohol. And normally I want a category for alcohols, but when it's attached to a benzene like that, I don't want a category. If you have to really have to give me a category, that benzene, when it's a group, is called a phenyl. So this is a special kind of alcohol called a phenol. All I want to see from you is this. Oh, highlighter. I want to see that. I don't want to see phenol. Call that looking a preview as well. Preview. That's much more important than a degree sign, a phenyl group. So, all right, we got these guys. We're going to highlight all the answers so we know where they are. Alcohol, yeah. Tertiary amine, primary amine, carboxylic acid. Get those guys. Yeah. And these guys. We missed a few over here. What about this one right here? There's no carbonyl attached. So that's got to be ether. And these alcohols, that's the phenol again, isn't it? But this one I want to see secondary alcohol. Wow. Okay. If you guys are saying, when does he want a number, when does he not? Give me a number for this. Just call it secondary. I'm not going to mark it wrong, but you won't lose any points. And then you're always putting a number with it. Aren't there 2 carbons attached to this carbon? Go ahead, call it secondary. I'm saying it, the phenol's way more important than that number you just gave me, but you don't know that yet. Okay? What else you got? We did that. That was a good smattering of things for some common molecules. Hey, that's a good video. Got this nitrogen, this nitrogen, this nitrogen, and we're stopping.